Well, I'll tell you what, the Jackrabbits hoping to put together a good outing. Coach Scott Nagy, I think, be satisfied with the outing he got done in Tennessee during the week. That kind of an outing would certainly make it a different game against this Bison Ball Club, which comes in off that 30-point win over the Jacks up in Fargo. Jacks break the huddle. They're on the court and ready to go. NDSU will send Andre Smith into the center jump circle. And the Jackrabbits will counter with Ben Barron. We'll get this game underway from a very noisy Frost Arena tonight as the Jackrabbits close out their home schedule for this 2005-2006 campaign. Now Lucas Moorman is going to step in instead of Andre Smith. Moorman is 6'9", Smith a little better leaper, I think. Here's the opening tap, and it will be the Bison who end up with it. And Ben Woodside, their point guard, bringing it across the timeline. Woodside picked up by Hine. The Jacks go man-to-man. Gives it off left side. Handled there by Nelson playing the two guard. He starts in the lane, gets called for traveling. And an early turnover, 13 seconds in. The Jacks will get the basketball as they try to get the first points on the board tonight against North Dakota State. Eric Hine playing the point for the Jacks. He'll be met by Nelson, man-to-man at the timeline. Gives left side to Kleinjohn. Cross-court, Loney starts a drive in the lane. Backs it on Moorman. Spins up a shot over him. It won't go. Rebound goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Jacks. And North Dakota State will get the basketball. Crowd quiets momentarily. That would have been a good opportunity, Scott, to really get the crowd into it with a bucket.
They would have appreciated the early lead. Coach Tim Miles saw him for the Bison on the way in, and he said, you're supposed to take it easy on him tonight.
Oh, okay. Here come the Bison the other way. Woodside across the timeline, comes left side. Smith posting up inside. They can't get him the ball. Now they do, but he has to take it to the corner. Back out on top to Moorman. Here's Woodside getting a return pass. Comes to the right of the key. Loops it head of the lane. Moorman going to hit the jumper, and it rolls in and out. And the rebound, Loney in the corner saves it for Kleinjohn. And we have a whistle, though. They're going to say Michael was out of bounds. So North Dakota State will keep the basketball underneath their own hoop as we have played about 54 seconds of this one and yet to put a score on the board. Woodside looks to trigger it in underneath his own basket. Here's Ben Woodside looking, sends to the corner to Nelson. He'll launch a three, and it's no good. Rebound head of the key. Barron's got it, and he races down court, and he will slay it in. So Barron gets the bucket. 2-0 Jacks. Here's Winkleman in the lane. He's double teamed, tries to force up a shot, and it goes. So Brett Winkleman quieting the crowd again momentarily, tying it at 2. Jacks also the other way. Cadwell with a runner in the lane, no good. And the rebound taken by North Dakota State. Andre Smith gets it out of trouble. Here comes Woodside front court. Woodside will settle it out head of the key. Woodside still has the basketball. Played by Hine. He'll give it right side to Andre Smith. Here's Smith down the lane. Nelson back on the top. Smith, free throw line jumper on the way, is up and no good. Rebound, fought for, save. Winkleman gets it to Nelson. Now he sends it out on top to Woodside. Woodside pull-up jumper is good. And the first lead of the night for the Bison, 4-2 on a Ben Woodside jumper as the Jacks trail it by a bucket coming the other way with 18-10 and ticking here in the first half. Hine coming front court, comes left to the key. Nearly stolen by Nelson, who poked it free. It's loose on the floor. A big pile up there. The jump ball is going to be called. And that means the Jackrabbits will have it because North Dakota State won the opening tip. So the Jacks will play it in from out of bounds. They trail it 4-2 here. We played just about 2 minutes of basketball at Frost Arena tonight. In fact, if you're on your way over, still got time to get here and fill up the empty spaces. There aren't a whole lot of them. In it comes to Hine. Here's Eric Hine coming off to the right of the key. Pulls up there looking for help. Bounce to Cadwell on the lane. Cadwell running one-hander off the glass and in. And Cadwell ties the game at 4 as he gets his first 2 points of the night. Woodside quickly front court to Nelson. Here's Nelson, left-hand corner, played by Cadwell, man-to-man. Now to Smith at the free throw line. He drives around Barron, gets to the lane with no shot. Sends it on top where Woodside fires for 3. It's good. He's a good shooter, doesn't need much room. Ben Woodside, his first three-pointer of the night, makes it a 7-4 Bison lead. Hine comes the other way, gives to Loney head of the lane. Moorman has to come out to play him. Now Loney, left side Barron. He tries to tie it with a three-point shot. Got it. So Barron hits the 3. He's got 5 points, and we're all even at 7 apiece. 17-10 to go in the first half. Woodside comes the other way for North Dakota State. Here's Woodside, played by Hine. Gives it off right side. Smith through his legs. Loose in the lane. Hine's got it. Jacks try to break. Kleinjohn drives on Smith. Puts it up and in. And Kleinjohn puts the Jacks back on top, 9-7. As the Jacks do it with defense and the breakaway bucket for Andy Kleinjohn, who did not score in the first meeting of these two ball clubs. Now Woodside comes the other way. Here's Woodside right of the key off to Nelson. Nelson with a baseline drive, sends it to the other corner, and Kleinjohn poked it free out of bounds. First sub of the night comes off the Jackrabbit bench. Jose Frias will check in for Eric Hine. North Dakota State will stick with their starting five. They'll trigger in underneath their own hoop. Woodside, the trigger man from out of bounds, the 5'11" point guard. Woodside looking to play it into the corner. Winkelman in the lane with his 12-footer. It's off the front rim. Rebound fought for. Barron tied up by Smith, and we'll have a jump ball, and this time NDSU will have the arrow in their favor. Here comes Phil Hahn off the North Dakota State bench, the senior who had a 17-point game against the Jacks the first time around. He'll replace Nelson in the lineup for the visitors. Hahn looking to play it in from out of bounds. Here's Hahn looking to play. Barron in his face. Hahn still looking, loops it out on top for Woodside. Woodside to the free throw line, but can't fire over Cadwell. Keeps his dribble, brings it out to reset with Hahn. Gives to the senior. Now Hahn played by Frias. Jack's back up now, trying to play a zone. Here's a bounce left side for Cadwell. Now to Moorman, head of the key. Moorman back to Woodside, open for a three-point shot. This one bounced around and came out, and the rebound goes out of bounds, belongs to North Dakota State. Well, you can't leave Woodside open. We got a break there. He missed that one.
That first shot he made, the first three he made, there was somebody right on his grill, and he just nailed it.
Phil Hahn to play in from out of bounds for North Dakota State. He plays it inside to Moorman, who lays it up and in. They got a good inside move by Lucas Moorman, and that ties the game at 9. 4 minutes into the contest. Kleinjohn comes the other way off to Frias. Jose Frias trying to get around Hahn. Bounced it right side for Barron beyond the three-point line, tied up by Smith. Gives it head of the key to Kleinjohn, left side Frias. Frias loops it down deep. Loney trying to back in, he can't. He pulls it back out, now they double team him. Michael's in trouble, looking for help, and they're gonna call what? A timeout was called by the Jacks. Actually, the Jackrabbits could have gotten a tie up there and still got the ball. Well, we'll take a 30-second break, and the game tied at 9. You're listening to South Dakota State basketball on WNEX.
Okay, so far?
Yep, good.
I missed one lead in. I just heard cowbells and then my name.
They'll do it. Yeah. Ball game even at 9 apiece here in the early going. The Jacks have hit 4 of their first 6 shots, and North Dakota State is 4 of 9 from the floor. In the rebound department early on, it is 6-1 though, NDSU. Jacks will trigger from out of bounds. Andy Kleinjohn looks to play it in, plays into Frias. Now Frias. Jacks are down to 10 on the shot clock. Here's Kleinjohn looking in deep, nobody home. He has to bounce it to Barron. He'll have to hustle one up with 4 seconds to shoot. He will give to Loney for a shot as the buzzer will sound on the shot clock. It's good. So Loney gets the bucket as the shot clock expired, and the Jacks have a lead 11-9. Phil Hahn will bring it the other way for North Dakota State. Hahn across the timeline, works his way off to the right of the lane, gives to Winkelman on the drive. He's tied up, ball knocked away, but comes to Hahn, now in deep for Smith, back on the lane, and in the lineup is Andrew Brown. He backs out, gives to Hahn. Now Hahn looking for Woodside, finds him for a quick three-point shot. That's in and out, no good, and the rebound to Cadwell. Jacks want to run, but the Bison are back. Here's Cadwell to the corner. Kleinjohn, he fires up a 3. Count it! Andy Kleinjohn gets the 3, and the Jacks go up by 5, 14-9. Much to the delight of this fired-up Jackrabbit crowd here tonight. Woodside, right side for Hahn, out of the baseline to Brown. Brown tied up by Loney, sends it out on top to Winkelman. Brett Winkelman one-on-one with Kleinjohn, a pair of 22s on their uniform. He drives around Andy, shot no good. Rebound to the corner though to Smith. NDSU keeps the ball. Now they tie up Smith, but he gets it out for Woodside to Hahn. Hahn to the corner, Winkelman. Winkelman starts to drive in the lane again, scoops it away, and they're going to call a foul on the Jacks. Jackrabbit faithful thought maybe Winkelman had run over a Jackrabbit. He did take the worst of it, and the foul chalked up on South Dakota State. I believe Barron picks it up. We have a timeout on the court. Well, the Jackrabbits have gotten off to a good start here tonight. They lead at 14-9 as they've hit 6 of their first 8 shots from the floor, 75%. The Bison, a cool 4 of 11 for 36%. And the Jackrabbits still being out-rebounded here 7-2, but with a 5-point lead. And our special guest tonight, Scott Waldman, joining us from the Aberdeen American News. And Scott, as we mentioned in the pregame, Cadwell has been the guy carrying them, but it's good for the Jacks to see him really sitting with just 2 points right now, and Kleinjohn and Barron and Loney picking up the offense.
The Jacks have hit a couple outside shots, and Woodside has missed a couple outside shots, so if that pattern holds, it's good news for the Jacks, no doubt.
Well, the Jackrabbits will break the huddle around Coach Scott Nagy. Out comes Cadwell and Kleinjohn, along with Loney and Barron and Frias, who's been the only sub so far for the Jacks. And North Dakota State breaks the huddle. Here comes Hahn and Woodside to play the back line. Up front, they have Brown in the lineup, Andrew Brown, the 6'7 sophomore. He's in there along with Andre Smith. They're going to a 3-guard offense now as starting 2-guard Ben Nelson checks back in. So they've taken out their big man and gone to a 3-guard offense for the Bison. Hahn will trigger from out of bounds into the corner to Smith. Smith will walk it back out, send it out for Nelson. Here's Nelson back to Smith. He's going to fire up. That's Hahn for the 3, and he hits it. So Phil Hahn, who had 5 threes against the Jacks the first time around, gets one here tonight to cut it to 14-12. Frias comes the other way, gives to Barron head of the lane. Now Barron tied up there by Smith, sends it right side to Frias. Here's Frias with Hahn on him, tries to get around him into the lane, loops it back in the lane for Loney, but it's ticked away and Frias has to retrieve it. Now back on top comes Kleinjohn. Now to Barron. Here's Barron, left side Cadwell trying to drive around Woodside, jumps over him, and it's going to be no good. And the rebound comes to North Dakota State. Andre Smith, who had a big night on the boards, a double-digit night up in Fargo, gets another rebound here. Hahn comes the other way to Woodside head of the lane, but he's tied up by Cadwell. Now to Nelson for a free throw line jumper. It's up and good. And a 5-0 run by the Bison has them even again at 14 apiece as Nelson gets his first bucket of the night. Jacks come the other way. Loney front court. Loney trying to drive around Brown. Got to the baseline. Pull-up jumper from 7 is good, and he's fouled. So Loney got around his man, got a nice screen on the baseline, and gets the bucket. Picks up his second field goal of the night, and he will come to the free throw line as the Bison have their first foul, and it's called on Andrew Brown. They go to the bench, and checking in is Lorenzo Riley, a 6'4 freshman who played off the bench up in Fargo, and starting center Mormon back in the lineup for NDSU as well. Free throw by Loney trying to complete a 3-point play, and he does. So the Jackrabbits go back up by 3, 17-14, and the first football player to see action, Mike Steffen, has joined the Jackrabbit lineup now. Here comes Woodside front court, and he will pick up Woodside. But they're playing a zone, and now Woodside chases away, and Steffen stays on the point with Hahn. Woodside, left side, back to Hahn. He feeds down deep on the drive. Nelson double team, but he puts it up and in and drew the foul. And so Nelson will have a chance to return the favor of an old-fashioned 3-point play and try to tie this game up. And Michael Loney will pick up his first foul for the Jacks. And Ben Nelson will shoot the first free throw of the night for North Dakota State. And he is a 90% free throw shooter on the year. His toss up and perfect. And now this game is tied at 17. Winkleman back off the NDSU bench, and they'll sit their leading scorer, point guard Ben Woodside. Jacks will come the other way, trying to break a 17-all tie, 12:55 and ticking here in the first half from Frost Arena. Frias across the timeline, comes off to the right of the key, bounced it on top for Barron. Barron will give way to Cadwell. Here's Cadwell with just one field goal so far. He's tied up by Nelson. Gives to Barron, down the lane to Loney. He backs in. Loney within 5, but no shot. Out on top, pass stolen by Nelson. Nelson drives. Cadwell trying to defend. Nelson has to back away and wait for help. Gives it to Mormon. Now to Hahn. He'll launch a 3. He hit another one. Phil Hahn with the 3-pointer. And it's 20-17, North Dakota State. Hahn with 2 threes off the bench already after getting 5 in the first meeting of these two clubs. Loney front court for the Jacks, off to Cadwell. Cadwell comes left side, starts in the lane, can't find a shot, spins it away. Steffen drives. Steffen, 5-foot runner, no good. Rebound comes to Steffen. He drives again, 5-footer too long again, and the rebound in North Dakota State. Now Hahn will come the other way for the Bison. Hahn comes front court. Here's Hahn trying to settle it, loops it down deep. He found a man inside. Riley, who lays it up and in. It rolled around, but dropped for Lorenzo Riley. And now NDSU on a 5-0 run goes up 22-17, their biggest lead of the night. Here comes Frias across the timeline. Jose Frias bounced it right side for Cadwell. He's tied up there by Nelson. Tries to get around him in the lane, gets within 5. We have a whistle, and we're going to have a push foul on NDSU as the foul against the Bison is going to be chalked up on Nelson, his first, and there's also a timeout on the court. Well, the Jacks shooting 58% from the floor, but NDSU is heated up to 56% and open a 5-point lead, 22-17. Steve Emming here, Scott Waltman joining me tonight from the Aberdeen American News. And Scott, I know you're a big sports fan, but right now you've been writing a different series of articles. Tell us about that.
Well, I have to preface this by saying I love meat, but I've agreed to go vegetarian for 1 month, and I'm a week in so far. It's a whole new experience for me.
No wonder you turned down that hot dog I offered.
It's really, I've survived the first week without trouble. I'm kind of surprised because I will try and work meat into every meal if I can.
So what's the good stuff so far? I haven't seen too many good stuff that isn't meat, you know.
Well, salads are generally the best thing. All your candy's still on the table, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk more about that maybe later on, Scott. In the meantime, the Jacks go to the bench. Chris Wagner going to check in for the first time. The Jacks will have 2 footballers on the court with both Wagner and Steffen in the lineup. Barron stays on, Cadwell and Eric Hine back on as the Jacks look to trigger in from out of bounds, down by 5 with 11:37 to go in the half. In it comes to Hine, but he can't pull the trigger. Out on top for Barron. Now Ben Barron looking for help, and Ben loops it away to Cadwell. Cadwell back to Barron in the corner, fakes the shot, starts a drive in the lane, backs within 5, hooks it up, it's blocked by Mormon, picked out of the air by North Dakota State. And Riley gets it out of trouble to Woodside, who's back on. Front court to Nelson, out of the corner to Winkleman. Here's Winkleman out on top to Woodside, covered up by Steffen. He loops it away to Mormon. Here's Mormon to Woodside. Woodside starts to the corner, can't find a shot there, takes it back out. Keeps his dribble and brings it out head of the lane with 15 to shoot. Woodside looking over a Jackrabbit zone. Feeds it down deep. He found Mormon, who missed the shot. Battle for the rebound. Up again, no good by Mormon. And then Winkleman puts it up and in as NDSU is hitting the boards and have a big advantage there, and plus a 7-point lead on the board. Jacks also the other way. Hine, reverse layup. It won't go. Battle for the rebound, out of bounds. Last touch by North Dakota State. So the Jackrabbits already down on the boards in this game by an 11-3 margin, and several of those have been offensive rebounds. Andre Smith, who was the top rebounder for the Bison up in Fargo, rejoins their lineup. Jacks play into Barron. He'll launch a 3. That's going to be no good. Cadwell had the rebound, lost it, and is picked up by North Dakota State. They lead the break to Smith. Smith to the trailer. Nelson on the drive. He puts it up and scores. And Nelson with 7 points in the first half. It's 26-17. The Bison on a 9-0 run here. Here comes Hine front court. Hine left side for Steffen. Now Steffen feeds it to Hine again, head of the key. Eric Hine spins, can't find a shot, gives to Barron. He'll jump from on top, long. Rebound fought far out of bounds, last touch by the Jacks. Steffen the last to touch it. Jacks will go back to the bench for a couple of starters. Kleinjohn and Loney back on for Wagner and Steffen. As the Jacks, who are even at 17, trailing it here 26-17. Don't want to get down double digits against this sharpshooting NDSU club that's shooting 55% so far in the first half, 11 out of 20. Here comes Woodside front court. Got the screen from Mormon. Can't pull the trigger, though. Has to back it out to Winkleman. Winkleman drives. His 10-foot runner is good, but he traveled. So Winkleman took the extra step getting into the lane. The turnover on the Bison, just their third of the first half. And the Jacks will play in from out of bounds, trying to snap this 9-0 run by North Dakota State. We're midway through the first half. Here comes Hine, left side, bad pass. Knocked away, but Kleinjohn saves it, and then he stepped on the sideline, out of bounds. So the Jacks will get their third turnover of the first half, and NDSU gets the ball back. In it comes to Woodside. NDSU had a 21-point halftime lead up at Fargo. They lead it by 9 right now. Jacks have to put the clamps on defensively. Here's Woodside to Smith at the free throw line. He starts in the lane, he traveled. So the team's trading turnovers here at the midway point of the first half, and Scott, the Jacks have to get the offense flowing again.
That's right, and they have to grab some rebounds when they get the chance. They're a little out-beefed inside right now.
Here comes Hine front court for the Jacks. Comes left of the lane, bounce it away to Kleinjohn. Andy out on top for Barron. He starts in the lane, got around Smith, got within 5, puts it off the glass, won't go. Battle for the rebound. Mormon gets it back for NDSU. Out of trouble to Woodside. He'll run it front court for the Bison. Woodside racing into the lane, can't get a shot, has to back it out. Still has the ball, sends it cross court. Here's Nelson driving the lane, feeds late for Smith. Smith on the reverse layup, got it. And Andre Smith's first bucket of the game makes it a 28-17 lead as NDSU has scored the last 11 points. Here's a steal by Nelson, but Kleinjohn had it back momentarily, and Nelson kept it. 2-on-2 break with Smith. Here's Smith, will stuff it. No, they call a charge on Nelson. Nelson had the break and a perfect feed to Smith, but then he ran over Eric Hine, and Nelson instead gets his second foul of the night, and that erases 2 points from the Bison side of the scoreboard. We have an update from the women's game. The Jacks are playing NDSU up in Fargo tonight, and right now the Bison have a 15-13 lead on the Jackrabbit women with 10:26 to go in the first half up there. We'll be getting updates as the game progresses. Jose Frias back in the lineup for the Jacks. He'll come front court, played by Hahn man-to-man. Frias comes right side, gives to Kleinjohn in the corner. He feeds down deep, backing in Loney. Loney, though, in trouble, has to send it out on top for Frias near midcourt. Now Frias comes to the right of the lane. Frias can't get around Hahn. He'll look for help, finds Loney head of the key. Jacks are down to 12 to shoot. Here's Loney, looked at a shot, passed it up, got it to Cadwell. He'll drive, fall away jumper, that's off the mark, and the rebound by the taller Bison as Mormon will get it out of trouble. The Jacks really getting beat on the boards early, 14-4, and they trail it by double digits, 28-17, with 8:20 to go in the first half. Woodside front court for NDSU. Woodside tied up out on top, bounced it away to Smith. He's open for a 12-foot jumper, and it missed, and the rebound by Frias. And the Jacks come the other way, trying to snap this run by NDSU. Here's Kleinjohn to fire a three. It's in and out, no good, and the rebound to Andre Smith. Jacks only getting the one shot. And here come the Bison the other way. Woodside across the timeline. Here's Woodside to the right of the lane. Starts in the lane now. Pull-up jumper by Woodside is no good. Tip Smith no good. Barron got a hand on it. Then we have a whistle and a foul over the back on NDSU. As they will give the foul to Mormon. He picks up his first timeout on the court. 7:46 left in the half. North Dakota State 28, South Dakota State 17. We'll take a 60-second break. You're listening to South Dakota State basketball on WNEX.
Stuck on 17.
Yeah. Love to watch the coaches bait the officials. Yeah.
That charge had Miles mystified, it looked like, by the look on his face. Senator Thune ringing the cowbell. He's sitting right across the court.
And the Jackrabbits down here, 28-17. The crowd trying to get them back into a little cowbell cam up on the big screen, and everybody with cowbells tonight shaking them as the Jacks try to get something going. They've been stuck on 17 for a while, and their better than 50% shooting is now down to 38% for the game, while North Dakota State's exactly at 500, 12 of 24 for their 50%. Jacks trailing in the rebounding department 17-6, and Scott Waltman, they're going to have to find a way to hit the boards, but this is a very good rebounding Bison team, and the Jacks obviously playing short-handed here, do not have a lot of beef up front.
So far, they've struggled to get the rebounds inside. They got off to the quick start they were looking for, but as you said, have been stuck on 17 for quite a while now.
Well, the Jacks will send out Cadwell, who has just the one field goal so far. Matt's been held to 1 for 4 shooting in the first half. Frias, Kleinjohn, Loney, and Barron. It'll be Hahn, Winkleman, Brown back on with Smith and Woodside for North Dakota State. Here comes Jose Frias across the timeline for the Jacks, met by Hahn. Comes right of the key, sent to the corner to Kleinjohn. Kleinjohn will take it back out on top, finds Cadwell into the lane. He can't pull the trigger. His shot blocked from behind now by Woodside and goes out of bounds. Cadwell got free momentarily, but Woodside with a good defensive play. And the Jacks will trigger from out of bounds, still down by 11. North Dakota State has scored the last 11 points of the game. Frias to trigger from out of bounds to Cadwell. Baseline drive, can't pull the trigger, loops it away to Frias. Frias layup is in and out. Tip won't go. Rebound, Barron back up. It's blocked, but he's fouled. So Barron will get free throws as the foul is chalked up on North Dakota State, going on Brown. That's his second foul for the non-starter, Andrew Brown. So starting center, Lucas Mormon comes to the scorer's table. He'll check in after the first of 2 free throws for Ben Barron, who's 60% on the season. Free throw up and good. So that snaps the 11-0 run by North Dakota State. Jacks still down by 10, 28-18 with 7:24 left in the half. Barron with 6 first half points is the Jackrabbits scoring leader in this one. Loney has 5, so does Kleinjohn. Next free throw on the way is up and perfect. So Barron hits a pair, it's 28-19. Woodside will start up the other way for North Dakota State. Woodside taking his time with a slow dribble across the time stripe, comes off left of the key. Here's Woodside, played now by Cadwell as the Jacks go back to man-to-man. They loop it to Smith on the baseline, played by Barron. He had a pass in the lane stolen by Frias. Jose pushes it front court. He starts in the lane, feeds it out to Kleinjohn. Now head of the key back to Jose. He starts in the lane, feeds Kleinjohn, reverse layup, it got it. It went in. Boy, that kind of hung there for a moment, but Kleinjohn with 7 points in the first half. Good feed by Frias. 28-21, the Jacks back within 7. Here's Woodside front court, played by Cadwell. He'll wait for Hahn to come out, but doesn't give it to him. Instead, he keeps the dribble to the right of the key. Now feeds it to the baseline. Smith nearly lost it, and he did. It went out of bounds. So the Jacks stepping up the defensive pressure, and the coaches will always tell you that defense is what creates the offense.
The Jacks now have a chance to score 6 in a row, 7 with a three-pointer, and kind of gain back the momentum in this game.
Here comes Frias front court for the Jacks. Jose bounced it away to Cadwell. It comes left of the lane, starts down the lane, can't find a shot, shut off by Woodside. Gives to the corner to Barron. Barron starts a drive, pull-up jumper. That's off the glass and in. So Barron with the bucket and timeout, North Dakota State. 6:18 to go, first half. North Dakota State 28, South Dakota State 23. We'll take a 30-second break here. You're listening to South Dakota State basketball on WNEX.
When they're doing the little lead-in, the WNAX Jackrabbit Sports, can they hear us when we're talking at that point?
Yeah.
Nice pass. Very pretty pass.
That was Senator Thune with the cowbell, wasn't it?
Yep, it sure was.
6:18 to go in the first half of this final home game of the season for the Jacks. We just checked out the last cowbell cam. Senator John Thune in attendance tonight. One of those cheering on the Jacks across the way. And as the Jacks had the ball put back in play for North Dakota State, what do we have here? Whistle officials stop play momentarily. And I don't believe they called a foul. They're just going to replay it in here for NDSU. I think the shot clock might have been off. So the Bison play in. Here's Hahn out on top. Gives it right side to Winkleman. Now Winkleman starts to the right of the key. A loop it down to the baseline. And they try to back in with Mormon. Mormon trying to get around Loney and can't. Out on top to Hahn. Hahn to the free throw line. Back to Mormon. He'll fire one up. That's long. Rebound to the Jacks. Frias ends up with the basketball. And Jose will take it himself across the timeline. Jacks working on a run of their own here. A 6-0 run. And let's see if they can add to it with this possession. Kleinjohn right side. Andy looks down deep, feeds Barron. They double team him. Barron has to pull it back out for Kleinjohn. Left of the key for Cadwell. Now here's Cadwell one-on-one again with Woodside. Gives right side to Kleinjohn. Here's Andy head of the key to Loney. He's going to launch a three. It's good. Michael Loney buried a three, and the Jacks are back within 2 at 28-26 on a 9-0 run. Woodside comes the other way for the Bison. Here's Woodside front court. Got around Cadwell. Drives the lane. Blocked out of bounds from behind by Cadwell. So Cadwell returns the favor as Woodside had a block on him at the other end of the court. And I'll tell you what, Scott, there aren't many more competitive players than Woodside and Cadwell. That's quite a matchup.
No, and Woodside got by him there, and Cadwell caught up to him and reached over and got all ball and knocked it out of bounds. Nice block.
So the Bison will trigger in. Hahn underneath the hoop of NDSU. Hahn plays to the corner to Winkleman. Winkleman has to bring it back out on top for Hahn. Cross court to Woodside. Now Woodside dribbles around head of the lane. Woodside looks up at the shot clock. He's got 12 to shoot. Woodside comes left to the key. He'll give it away to Winkleman with 8. Now Hahn fakes the three. Hahn gives it left side. Woodside, he knows he's got to put one up. He drives the lane, floats underneath, off Mormon and out of bounds. It'll be Jackrabbit basketball. So the Jacks get it back, trailing by only a bucket, 28-26. They have scored the last 9 points of this game after NDSU had opened a double-digit lead. Here comes Jose Frias to the timeline, picked up by Hahn man-to-man. Frias Works his way off to the right of the lane. Frias bounced it away to Cadwell. Woodside all over him. Now to Barron, who fires a three. It's no good, and the rebound loose in the lane. Fought for. Loney got it back. Is knocked down, and they're going to call a foul on Mormon. So the Jacks get an offensive rebound as Loney got to that one. And then Mormon's going to pick up the foul. That's his second of the first half. Both centers employed by the Bison tonight have picked up 2 first-half fouls. Tim Miles walking the sidelines, wondering whether he wants to make a substitution. He hasn't yet. Jacks look to trigger in from out of bounds. Now here comes Brown, who will play with 2 fouls. He's the backup center, and he'll replace Mormon in the NDSU lineup. Jacks will trigger from out. That's become pretty standard, Scott, getting the guy out with 2 first-half fouls. But
well, they have, as you said, 2 fouls on both of their big men. The Jacks only with 2 team fouls so far tonight.
Jacks throw the ball away on the inbounds play. Woodside comes the other way. Woodside gives to Winkleman. Here's Winkleman coming off to the right of the key. Jacks missed an opportunity there. On the offensive side, have to play some defense. Kleinjohn picking up Woodside now man-to-man. He gives way to Hahn. Here's Hahn out head of the lane, back to Woodside. He lost the handle on it, and Kleinjohn tried to run it down. It went out of bounds off of NDSU. Now a timeout on the court. 3:58 left to go in the first half. A spirited one at Frost Arena tonight. The Jackrabbit faithful in big numbers and cheering on a Jackrabbit team that's back within 2 at 28-26. And Scott Waldman often this game is a game of runs, and right now the Jacks have the momentum. We'll see if they can carry it forward.
Just when they needed to run, it looked like they were the momentum had shifted over to the Bison, and they really needed to make a little run at the Bison before halftime, and it managed to do that. And now again with the ball, can cut into that lead a little bit more.
Well, the first time around, it was pretty much all Bison in the first half, 42-21. And unless they have a humongous final 4 minutes of the half, we're going to see a lot different ball game heading into the second half tonight. In fact, the Jacks would like to have the lead by that point as they send out Cadwell, Barron, Kleinjohn, Loney, and I think Jose Frias, who just went to the end of the bench to come back in the game. He went the long way here, and he's just appeared. NDSU has Nelson back on with Brown, Winkleman, Woodside, and they also have Lorenzo Riley in their lineup now. Jacks come front court, need a bucket to tie, a 3 to take the lead. Frias bounced it away to Cadwell, now to Kleinjohn. Here's Kleinjohn head of the key. And he gives back right side to Cadwell. Cadwell to the free throw line. No shot. Feeds Barron on the drive. He had it stripped away by Riley. And NDSU gets the ball back. And now the ball's knocked out of bounds and last touch by North Dakota State. As Jose Frias came over to help out and pushed it off of Riley. So the Jacks will trigger from out of bounds. Tim Miles didn't see it that way, but opposing coaches tend to see it other than the way the officials go.
No, he's having a chat with the officials right now. Checking to see if they got a clear view of that one or not.
Just every once in a while, announcers see it that way, too. Here's the ball into Cadwell for 3. Got it. Cadwell buried a 3, and the Jacks have the lead. 29-28. They've gone on a 12-0 run. Here comes Woodside the other way for NDSU. Left side off to Nelson. Out on top for Brown. Brown back to Woodside. Here's Woodside, left of the lane, Winkleman open. He fires for 3. It's an air ball and out of bounds, and Frias starts the other way for the Jacks. Here's Frias front court. Right side for Kleinjohn. Andy Kleinjohn looking for help now, can't find anybody. He finally spins it off to Cadwell. Cadwell way out in their midcourt with 20 to shoot. Tries to get around Woodside, can't get anywhere. Has to look for help, gives left side to Frias. Frias with Nelson playing him tight. Here's Frias, bounced it right side for Cadwell again. Cadwell trying to move on Woodside. Got the screen from Barron to get to the baseline, but now they double team him. Gets it to Ben. Ben with 3 to shoot. Got to Kleinjohn. He'll launch a 3 off the mark. Rebound in the corner. It's going to go out of bounds, belonging to North Dakota State. So with 2:33 left in the half, Jacks up 29-28. They've made a 12-0 run, and North Dakota State has the ball back, trying to regain the lead. They were once up by 11. Here comes Woodside across the timeline. Woodside directing traffic. Woodside looking for a shot, can't find one. Loops it away right side to Nelson, but he's tied up by Frias. Back out on top. Woodside man-to-man is Cadwell. Woodside driving around him, goes to the hoop, throws it up and in. Oh, pretty move by Ben Woodside, who has 7 points. We have an injured Bison player, though, as it looked like Andrew Brown went down to his knees and is still trying to get back to his feet. Boy, Woodside can hurt you with that three, but he can put the ball on the floor, Scott.
He found a seam in the lane and took it in, shot up a nice, pretty layup with a man on him. And then what happened underneath to Brown, I'm not sure, but he's going to stay in the game, it looks like.
Well, Tim Miles wants him to rest, so he's coming out, and Andre Smith will check back in. North Dakota State ending a 12-0 Jackrabbit run with that bucket as the Bison regain the lead 30-29. Jacks will bring the ball front court. Here's Frias across the timeline. Jose had the ball knocked away by Nelson. He gets it back. Frias tries to drive around him, goes to the hoop, scoops it up, won't go. Rebound by Smith. And here comes North Dakota State the other way with their 1-point lead. Nelson front court. Nelson to Smith down the lane. Smith then backs off and tries the lane again and can't get there. Back out on top for Woodside, played by Frias now. Woodside trying to drive around him and can't. Sends it back outside. Here's Winkleman. Winkleman spinning, looking for help, got it to Woodside. Played by Kleinjohn on the switch. Off to Nelson. Now it comes back out on top. Woodside will find Winkleman in the lane. Winkleman spins. Oh, he traveled, no call. Now what do we have? They're going to call a foul on the Jacks. Oh, a tough break. I think Winkleman may have got away with a walk there, and he ends up being fouled by the Jacks, and the foul is on Barron, which would be Ben's second. Jacks have only committed 3 fouls in the first half, but Barron has 2. And coming to the line will be Brett Winkleman. So tough break there for the Jacks, as Winkleman, a 77% free throw shooter, will shoot 2. The first of which is up and good. 5th point of the half for Winkleman. Phil Hahn's back in the NDSU lineup, and the Jacks will keep Barron in and play with 2 fouls here and hope that he does not pick up his third the final minute and a half of this first half. Winkleman ready at the line again. His free throw on the way is up and good. He got them both, and NDSU opens a 3-point lead, 32-29. Frias comes the other way. Front court gives way to Cadwell. Here's Cadwell starting in the lane. He tried to feed it deeper and was kicked by one of the Bison, and the Jacks will play in from out of bounds. They'll have Cadwell, Frias, Kleinjohn, Loney, and Barron. Cadwell to trigger. To the corner, Frias. Now Jose feeds it deep. Baseline, Barron trying to back in. Hooks it up from 5. Off the glass and in. And Barron with an 11-point first half as the Jacks get back within 1, 32-31. Woodside comes the other way for NDSU as we're down to a minute to go in the first half. And what do we have? A call away from the basket and a foul on the Jacks on Frias. Jose gets his first foul, holding on to Hahn. Jacks are going to get Steffen in the ball game. Let's see if he comes in for Barron. I would think he would. They don't want Ben to pick up a third foul. So Steffen back on, the 6'5" freshman out of Mount Vernon. One of the 4 football players added to this roster. Playing his 5th game. Hahn will trigger from out of bounds. Hahn looking, got it to Woodside. Woodside tied up by Cadwell now man-to-man. Here's Woodside trying to drive around him, feeds it back out to Winkleman. His jumper is good. And Winkleman with 8 points in the half. And now it's a 3-point lead again, 34-31. North Dakota State down to 44 seconds till halftime. Loney front court for the Jacks. Loney comes left of the key. Michael tied up there by Smith. Got it away to Frias. Frias can't go on the baseline over Hahn. Feeds Loney. He backs in. They double team him. He'll try to force it up. It's blocked. Picked up by Steffen. He lost it. And it's picked up now by Winkleman. And North Dakota State can play for 1. Shot clock down at 24 seconds. And NDSU with a 3-point lead in the ball will play for 1 final shot before halftime. Woodside dribbling out near midcourt. And the Jacks will not go out and pressure him and let NDSU set up for 1 shot. Jacks trying to play some good defense here. Woodside puts it in motion with 6. Comes right to the key. He gets to the baseline and fires up a 3, and it's long. And Steffen had it but lost it out of bounds. But last touch, they say, by an NDSU player. So the Jacks have 0.7 seconds. It's going to have to be a very quick catch and throw. Frias from 3-quarter court fires it, and it won't get to the bucket. And the score at halftime will read NDSU 34 and South Dakota State 31. Well, a lot different ball game than what we saw in Fargo. And the Jacks will begin the second 20 minutes in good shape, but they will have to come from behind. Ball to be played in from out of bounds, and now we got 20 on the clock, and we're back to action. Here comes Hine front court. Send to the corner to Cadwell. He's tied up by Woodside. Feeds Barron on the drive. Reverse layup blocked, but he drew the foul. So he'll get a couple of free throws as the foul goes to Mormon, the starting center, who picks up his third. in the first 9 seconds of the second half. Well, neither team missed a free throw in the first half. We'll see what Barron does at the line. He was 2 for 2 for the Jacks. And Ben's first of 2 here, up and perfect. And Barron with 12 points already, matching the total he had all night up in Fargo in the first meeting of these two ball clubs. Barron ready again, 60% on the year, but 4 for 4 tonight. He hits them both. So the Jacks back within 1, 34-33. And North Dakota State gets their first offensive possession. Here comes Woodside to the timeline. He comes front court, comes off to the right of the key, pulls up, gives to Winkleman, back out on top to Mormon, who fakes the shot, gives back to Woodside. Woodside double teamed and in trouble. The ball knocked away, but retrieved by Mormon. Mormon sent to the corner. Now they feed a wide open Smith inside. He traveled, but gets the bucket on the lay-in. Whoa, it looked like he took the extra step, but he gets the lay-in, and it's 36-33 NDSU. Loney comes the other way. Kind of a hop step, and probably they figured he didn't drag that pivot foot. Here comes Barron the other way. Now off to Kleinjohn, left of the key. Andy looking for a three. He'll launch one, and it's no good. Rebound comes to Nelson as NDSU gets another board. Off it comes to Woodside. NDSU by 3 has the basketball. Here's a steal by Loney, and then the Jacks get it to Hine, and the Jacks do get the turnover, forcing number 11 on the Bison. Kleinjohn comes front court. Here's Kleinjohn to Barron, trying to back in on Smith. Feeds a driving Loney, who lays it up and in. Good work by the two big men inside. Loney in double digits with 10. Jacks within 1, 36-35. They trail it as North Dakota State comes the other way. Front court, Woodside out on top. Gives way to Smith, head of the key. Now Andre Smith, the junior college transfer, the only junior with 4 freshmen in the Bison lineup. Off to Winkleman. Winkleman spinning, sends it to the corner to Mormon. Now Mormon back on top to Woodside, down to 10 to shoot. Woodside drives around Hine, gets in the lane, feeds Smith. Smith 5-footer up and no good. Rebound Barron. And he fights his way out of trouble and was fouled. Apparently Smith got him over the back, and Andre picks up his first foul. Second team foul on North Dakota State here in the second half, and the Jacks trigger from out of bounds. They can get the lead back with a bucket, trailing at 36-35. Hine will call a play as he comes to the timeline, met by Nelson, who's a tough defender. Hine left of the key out to Kleinjohn. Kleinjohn pulls up right side, nearly lost the ball, retrieves it for Loney. Loney fakes the three, now he takes it, and it is in and out. Rebound by Nelson. North Dakota State still has the lead. They come the other way. Nelson front court. Nelson looking for the three, can't pull the trigger, comes off left of the lane. Looks again, but finally gives way to Woodside. Now Woodside, played by Hine. Woodside down the lane to Winkleman on the drive. Winkleman traveled. He put it up and in, but that time he did get caught traveling. And the turnover on North Dakota State, and the Jacks get it back. I think Winkleman just saw 2 open a lane that time, and you get big eyes, but the feet don't move.
He had an open shot, and now what do we have?
Technical foul, I think, on Smith. Andre Smith said something to the official and gets called for a technical foul.
The last couple of calls, Scott Nagy has been nodding his head up and down, and Tim Miles has had his arms out at his side with a perplexed look on his face.
So at the free throw line will be Cadwell to shoot the technical. His free throw on the way is up and good. That's his first free throw of the night. He'll get one more, and the Jacks will get the ball. So the Jacks tie the game at 36 and take the lead. Second free throw by Cadwell gives them a 37-36 advantage thanks to the technical foul. And now the Jacks will trigger in from out of bounds. Smith picked up his second personal foul as well. Tim Miles wants to talk to the official first before play resumes. And so one of the officials talks with Coach Miles before the ball is finally played in by the Jacks. Hine will try to bring it front court. Here's Hine to the corner to Kleinjohn. Kleinjohn takes it back out on top to Cadwell. Cadwell starts in the lane, pull-up jumper from 12, short. Rebound by Smith of North Dakota State. They come the other way, down by only 1. Nelson comes front court. Here's Nelson coming to the right of the lane. Nelson trying to find Woodside, does, but Hine on him. Drives around Hine, then loops it into Mormon, who hooks it up. Whistle, though. We had a hold inside before the shot, and the foul on Hine. First foul on Hine, the first team foul on the Jacks here in the second half. Woodside will trigger from out of bounds. 37-36, South Dakota State. 17-14 left in the game. Here's the ball played into Winkleman on the drive. His 5-foot runner off the glass, no good, but he drew the foul. He'll shoot 2. As the foul goes to Loney, and that's Michael's second. And so Brett Winkleman will come to the free throw line. He can reach double digits with a couple of successful tosses. He's 2 for 2 at the stripe tonight and 77% on the season. 2 free throws would put the Bison back on top. The first one on the way is up and good. And now we're tied at 37. And Winkleman has another one upcoming. He readies. Free throw on the way is up and good. So North Dakota State, with Winkleman reaching double digits, regains the lead 38-37. Hine comes the other way for the Jacks. Falls down, trying to get it away. The guys get it to Barron. Now it comes to Cadwell. He drives the baseline. We have a whistle and a hold on Woodside. First foul on Woodside tonight. And the Jacks will trigger in from out of bounds. Just about 3 minutes gone here in the second half. The Jacks, who trailed by 3 at halftime, could regain a lead here with a bucket. Down by 1. They play it into Hine in the corner. He's tied up, though, by Nelson. Hine can't find anybody inside, has to bring it back outside. Gives way to Cadwell. Woodside on him again. Boy, what a matchup this is. That's worth the price of admission. Off it comes to Loney. Back to Cadwell. He'll jump from 17. Good, and he's fouled. What a tough shot by Cadwell. But Scott Waltman, if you haven't seen him play all year, that's the kind of shot he's been making.
Well, I haven't, but that was a sweet shot. He got hit and just followed through nicely. Nothing but net.
So the bucket by Cadwell, who has 9 points now, puts the Jacks up 39-38. And the chance for the three-point play as Cadwell can join Barron and Loney in double figures. Free throw on the way is perfect. And 10 points for Cadwell, and the Jacks up by a bucket, 40-38. North Dakota State coming the other way. Woodside front court. Here's Woodside coming off to the right of the lane. He keeps the basketball and dribbles it back out again to the left of the lane. Now they try to trap him. He looped it away to Mormon, who's wide open but won't shoot the 3. Mormon gets it away to Nelson. Nelson to Mormon. Now he will fire up a 3. It's good, but it won't count because we had a foul away from the ball. And the foul is on Barron, and that's his 3rd. Now Brown checks in for Mormon. And Mormon is not a three-point shooter. Probably wondering, hey, how come you let him foul you, man? I had a 3 there.
Wide open twice, and the second time shot it and made it, but not before the foul.
So NDSU, instead of taking the lead with that shot, will have to play it in from out of bounds down 2. Ball bounced into Smith, then tipped out of bounds off of Smith by Michael Loney. Good defense by the Jacks. So with a 40-38 lead and 16:23 to go in the ball game, the Jacks will start up the other way. Nelson, some backcourt pressure on Eric Hine. He comes across the 10-second stripe and falls down again and calls timeout. That's twice Eric has lost his footing under the pressure of Nelson. So with 16:15 to go, we'll take a 30-second break. Jacks lead at 40-38. And Kleinjohn to trigger it in from out of bounds, plays into Frias. So now Frias gets the pressure from Nelson, who is all over his man defensively. Off to Kleinjohn. Now Kleinjohn takes it back out on top, pulls up on the dribble, spins it to Cadwell. He tried to get in the lane and couldn't, gives to Barron. Barron drives the lane, scoops it late, reverse layup, Loney won't go. Loney tries to save it from going out of bounds and does, because he bounced it off an NDSU player. The Jacks will keep possession, and now we have a media timeout with 15:57 to go in the game. South Dakota State 40, North Dakota State 38. We'll take a 60-second break here. Jacks will trigger from out of bounds. Cadwell looking to play it in. Matt with 10 points in the game, one of 3 Jacks in double figures. Barron has 13, Loney has 10. Cadwell to trigger it. He plays it in to Barron. Barron beyond the three-point line, gives to Loney in the corner. Loney looking for help, gives way to Cadwell. They trap him in the corner, has to dribble out of trouble, comes back out on top. Now Cadwell with 25 still to shoot. Cadwell, played by Woodside. He loops it away to Barron right side. Ben will fire a 3 and hit it. A 2-pointer they give him, the 2 for Barron. But he now has 15 points, and the Jacks up by 4, 42-38. Good give and go there with Cadwell and Barron working together. Woodside front court, and a reach-in foul, Kleinjohn on Winkleman. Oh, no, wait a minute. They're going to give it on the other side of the ball and give it to Loney. Is that right? They went to the other side of the ball. Looked like Kleinjohn reached in, but I think they're going to give that one to Loney. And so NDSU will trigger from out of bounds. 4th team foul on South Dakota State. It is Loney who gets his 3rd foul, so both he and Barron have 3. North Dakota State plays it into Nelson. Now Nelson gives it back out to Woodside. Woodside, right side, off to Winkleman. Winkleman trying to drive to the baseline. He's tied up there. Double team, looking for help. Tied up by Kleinjohn, and no whistle. He wanted a jump ball, and they wouldn't give it to him. Now Woodside, left of the lane to Nelson, to the corner, Winkleman. Winkleman is tied up, feeds down the lane to Nelson, he traveled. So another turnover on the Bison. Jacks get it back. They have a 4-point lead, 42-38. And Coach Tim Miles is going to get Phil Hahn, the senior, back in the game to try to spur some offense for the Bison.
Kind of a sloppy possession for NDSU down on that side of the court.
It's going to be Winkleman who leaves. They go back to this 3-guard offense, which you can afford to do because the Jacks basically are playing a 3-guard lineup as well. So Hahn comes in. He had a couple of 3-point shots in the first half. Here comes Frias across the timeline. Jose comes off left of the lane. Spins it back to the right side to Kleinjohn. Played by Nelson. He'll bounce it in. Barron hooks from 5-2 strong. But Loney tipped it up and in. Oh, an incredible tip in by Michael Loney. A dozen for Loney. Jacks up by 6. 44-38. Woodside front court. Woodside feeds it down deep. Backing in is Nelson with no shot. Sends it back out to Hahn, out of Woodside, head of the key. Woodside trying to get around Cadwell. He feeds it back out for Hahn. Frias on him. To Woodside again in the corner. Now Woodside, played by Cadwell, tries to drive around. The reverse layup is no good. Rebound Frias. Jacks the basketball in a 6-point lead. Frias, coast-to-coast drive. Feeds Barron, who lays it up and missed the layup. Rebound Loney. Loney puts it back up. Good, and he's fouled.
Jacks are really showing up that rebounding difference now.
Michael Loney with back-to-back putbacks. And this time he is fouled as well. And the Jackrabbits are up by 8. 46-38. Here's Moorman checking back on for Brown in the North Dakota State lineup. Was it Brown who got his third? I think so. Meanwhile, Loney at the line, trying to complete a 3-point play, but he missed the free throw and the rebound to Moorman.
First free throw missed tonight by either team.
NDSU comes the other way. Crowd quiet momentarily, but the Jacks up 46-38. 6 minutes into the second half. Hahn comes left side, loops it away to Smith. Smith on the drive. 5-foot runner is up and no good. Frias has the rebound. Jose will take it himself. Front court for Barron to the trailer. Kleinjohn. He lays it up. No good. They're going to call a charge. Jacks had a break there, but Kleinjohn ran over the defender. Nelson held his ground, and Kleinjohn gets his first foul, and NDSU gets the ball back. Jacks could have went up double digits with a bucket and had a chance with a 2-on-1, but instead NDSU gets the ball back with 13:46 left in the contest. This will be Woodside to walk it front court. Here's Woodside off to the right of the lane. Sends it out on top to Moorman. Moorman gives right side to Nelson. They loop it down to the baseline to Smith. They double team him. He's in trouble, and the ball slapped away, and they're going to call a foul, though, on the Jacks. And either Barron or Loney are going to get their fourth foul. It's Loney. And Michael, who's had such a great start to this second half, likely to have to sit. Here comes Chris Wagner racing to the scorer's table, and Loney will sit with 4 fouls, but gets a good hand as he leaves. As the Jackrabbits commit their 6-team foul. Both teams have 6. Hahn will trigger from out of bounds to Smith in the corner. Out on top for Nelson. Nelson traveled. Turnover on the Bison. 13:26 to go in the game, and now the ball rolled away, and the official looked momentarily to see if Nelson had thrown it away, or they might have had another tee. And the Jacks will have the ball, leading 46-38. Frias will walk it front court. Frias, played by Hahn, comes right of the lane, gets around Hahn to the baseline, but now he's tied up in double team, and he gets it out to Cadwell. Left of the lane for Barron. Barron nearly lost the handle on it, waits for help, feeds down deep. Frias backs in on Hahn. Frias shot blocked, and they're going to call what? A foul on Hahn. And a technical foul against North Dakota State. Or maybe, wait a minute, he's called it on Frias. Hahn gets the foul, but wait and see if the technical might have been on Frias.
He was a little worked up after that foul.
So let's see what happens. Yep, just one technical. It's on Frias. The foul was on North Dakota State. And Frias picks up the foul. That'll be his second personal foul. North Dakota State gets technical free throws. Woodside going to the line for the first time in the game. And his free throw on the way is up and good. He's an 80% free throw shooter. Another free throw coming up for Woodside. It's on the way. It is missed.
That doesn't happen too often.
So they hit 1 of 2 to make it 46-39, but now Frias will come to the line because the foul was initially called on Hahn, and Frias will shoot 2, looking for his first points of the night. Jose has really struggled at the free throw line this year, 48% his free throw percentage. He steps to the stripe here, though, to shoot 2. Readies, fires, misses. He'll try to salvage 1 of 2 as Mackenzie Casey works his way to the scorer's table. Frias with the second free throw, got it. So he saves 1 of 2, and the Jacks lead at 47-39 with 13:07 left to go in the ball game. North Dakota State will bring the ball down. Casey replaces Frias in the Jackrabbit lineup. Here's Woodside coming front court. Woodside, played by Casey, loops it out to Mormon, head of the key to let him shoot if he wants. He won't. Gives to Hahn. Now to Woodside. He'll launch a 3. That is in and out, and then a whistle on the rebound. And a foul on the Jacks, and this one, was on Barron. That's his 4th. So Barron and Loney each have 4. We still have 12:49 to go. Mormon comes to the free throw line. Well, he's only a 47% free throw shooter on the year. He's the worst of the Bison free throw shooters, other than one of their bench players. Barron will sit, so the Jacks bring on Mike Steffen, and they have to rely on the football players here to give him some good time.
Not too many tall kids out there right now for the Jacks.
Mormon's free throw rolled in. That's his 3rd point of the night. 47-40, Bison back within 7. Winkleman waiting at the scorer's table. No, he's going to check in, and he will replace Nelson. Mormon awaiting a second free throw to try to make it a 6-point game. If all goes according to Hoyle, he'll miss this. He does, because he doesn't shoot 50%, but the rebound in North Dakota State as Smith snuck in there, and they get to keep the basketball. So the Jacks miss an opportunity there. Their lead is still 7, but North Dakota State the ball. Hahn launches a 3, good. Phil Hahn's 3rd 3 off the bench tonight. 47-43, the Bison back within 4 with 12.5 minutes to go. Here's Casey coming front court. Mackenzie Casey, left of the lane for Kleinjohn. Andy, played by Winkleman. Whistle away from the ball, and a foul on Woodside, I believe. The foul is on Woodside. That would be his 2nd, and both teams with 18 fouls, so it'll be Cadwell who comes to the line to shoot the 1-and-1. Cadwell's 3 for 3 at the stripe tonight and has 10 points in the game. Coming off a career-best 34-point night Monday down at Middle Tennessee. Front end of the 1-and-1, perfect. He'll get the bonus. 48-43, the Jacks. Cadwell looking for point number 12. He readies for a second toss. It is up and perfect again. So Cadwell hits them both. And now this will be Lorenzo Riley checking in for Andre Smith in the North Dakota State lineup. Jacks lead at 49-43. Hahn comes front court. Jacks set up in a zone. Hahn sends it right of the lane for Winkleman. Now Winkleman brings it out on top. Here's Winkleman working his way off to the right of the key. Gives way to Hahn, out on top to Woodside. Woodside can't fire. Loops it down the lane to Winkleman. Pull-up jumper by Winkleman is good. And Winkleman has a dozen. It's 49-45. The Jacks lead cut to 4 with less than 12 minutes to go. Meanwhile, the Jackrabbit women have opened a 20-point lead up in Fargo. More on that in a minute. Ball played to Kleinjohn. Baseline, he can't get the jumper off. Gives it out on top to Cadwell. Cadwell, he'll pull up and jump. It's for 3, but it's way off the mark. And rebounded by Winkleman of NDSU. Long pass the other way, Woodside. Woodside trying to drive to the baseline. He loops it in the lane, and here's Riley's shot off the glass and in. And Riley with a couple of field goals off the bench, and he makes it a 2-point game. 49-47, the Jacks only by 2. Front court, here comes Casey. Casey comes off left of the lane. McKenzie starts to the basket, then backs it out for Kleinjohn. Andy head of the key. Here's Kleinjohn looking, gives to the corner. Steffen will back it out. Steffen around the perimeter to Kleinjohn, now to Casey. Mackenzie Casey with 15 to shoot yet. Comes back out on top. Looks up at the shot clock. Gives it away to Cadwell. 1-on-1 with 9. Cadwell likely to put it in the air. Drives to the baseline. He's fouled in the reach in by Woodside. Oh, he got poked in the eye by Mormon after he took the shot. and he's in some pain, but the foul was on Woodside. Going to send Cadwell to the line if he can see, as he tries to shake off the effects of a finger in the eye from Mormon, who got to him after the foul. Timeout on the court, 10:55 left in the game. South Dakota State 49, North Dakota State 47. We'll take a minute break. You're listening to South Dakota State basketball. Wagner and Steffen both in the lineup because Barron and Loney are sitting with 4 fouls, and the Jacks are trying to get themselves back to those two with the lead still up on the board. Jackrabbit women lead 59-39 with 10:18 to go. What a second half they're having, Scott.
Open that lead up nicely.
Cadwell ready at the line to shoot. His toss on the way is perfect. So he was able to shake off the eye problem and converts again at the charity stripe for his 13th point of the night. 50-47 Jacks. Cadwell getting one more toss. He readies and fires. This one is good again. So the Jacks up by 4, 51-47. 10:50 and ticking. Here comes Hahn front court for NDSU. Gives it off right side to Kleinjohn. Back on top to Nelson. Now to Hahn. Hahn can't fire. Gives to Winkleman. Winkleman starts in the lane. He can't find a shot. Looking for help. Can't find anybody. Jacks have him tied up. Hahn had to come out in their midcourt to help out. They're down to 12 to shoot. Hahn puts a new play in motion with 10. Here's Hahn. He has the ball with 7. Hahn starts a drive in the lane. Pull-up jumper. In and out. Rebound Wagner. Jacks the basketball. They come front court with a 4-point lead. Cadwell got the screen from Wagner to get to the baseline. Now they double team him. He tries the baseline again though, and then reverse layup won't go. And the rebound comes to NDSU. Nice move by Cadwell, but couldn't get the shot to go. Here's Winkleman coming the other way to the baseline to Nelson. Nelson tied up by Cadwell. Pulls it back out. Here is Smith down the lane. Shut off by Wagner. Smith backs it out. He looks to try it again. Now gives to Riley. Riley backs on Steffen. Back out on top. Smith starts a drive in the lane again. His shot is up and in, and what a circus shot that went in for Andre Smith. 51-49. Jacks have their lead cut to 2 with 9:38 to go. Comes Casey front court. McKenzie gives right side for Steffen. Now Steffen puts it back in the hands of Mackenzie Casey. Casey starts in the lane. Pull-up jumper by McKenzie is good. Casey hits his first shot off the bench. And the Jacks up by 4 again, 53-49. Now Smith will bring it front court. Andre Smith, the 6'7" front liner. Wagner has to pick him up, head of the key. Smith trying to back in. He gets within 5, can't fire, gets double teamed, spinning around. That should be a 5-second call. Nope, they called a timeout. So an alert Tim Miles averted the turnover by calling a timeout. 9:03 left to go. 53-49 Jacks. We'll take a 30-second break. You're listening to South Dakota State basketball on WNEX. Del Trigger from out of bounds had to use a timeout because of good Jackrabbit defense. In it comes to Winkleman, back to Woodside. He'll take it out on top. Woodside with 12 to shoot comes left to the key. Woodside with 10 comes off to the right of the lane. Gives it away. A 3-point shot by Nelson. Good from the corner. Nelson in double digits with 10 points, and it's a 1-point game. 53-52 up in Fargo. The Jackrabbit women lead 61-43 with 7.5 minutes to go as they try to get their second win over the Bison women. Here's Casey front court. Can't drive on the baseline. Has to give it away to Cadwell. Now Cadwell played tight by Nelson. Cadwell trying to get around Nelson. Got in the lane. Throws up a left-handed shot. It won't go. Rebound fought for. Steffen got to it, but what do we have? A whistle and a foul on NDSU, I believe. The foul is on, I think, Lorenzo Riley. And coming to the line will be Cadwell. So Cadwell, who has 14 points tonight, he's done most of his damage at the free throw line, puts up 2, the first of which is good. Here comes Mormon back off the bench for Riley for NDSU. Cadwell just 3 of 11 from the floor, but he's 8 for 8 at the free throw line. Another toss coming up by Matt. His second free throw on the way is good. And the Jackrabbits have a 3-point lead, 55-52. We're down to 8:20 to go. It's been a good one. Here comes NDSU the other way. Woodside front court to Winkleman right of the key. Loops to the baseline to Smith, and he's being held by Chris Wagner. That'll be the first foul on Wagner, and coming to the free throw line will be Smith. He'll shoot the last 1 and 1 of this ball game because NDSU already has 10 team fouls. The Jacks just committed their 9th. And Smith is a 67% free throw shooter who goes to the line for the first time tonight. When will Scott Nagy pull the trigger and get Barron and Loney back in? That's what he's pondering. Free throw on the way by Smith is good. He'll get one more. Jacks trying to save Barron and Loney, who are sitting with 4 fouls. Steffen and Wagner in the lineup for them. Here's the next free throw coming up by Smith. It's on the way. It is no good, but he got his own rebound. He chased it down in the corner and then threw it out of bounds off of Cadwell. It'll be NDSU basketball. So hustling. Andre Smith missed his free throw, saw it was going to be missed, and hustled to the corner to get the ball back for NDSU. They'll trigger in from out of bounds, trailing 55-53. They could tie with a bucket or get the lead back with a 3. Here's Woodside walking it around out front. The clock ticks down to exactly 8 minutes left to go. Left side, Nelson loops to the baseline. Smith, turnaround jumper is an air ball. Frias has it and then knocked away, but he gets it back and is fouled. Mormon poked it free, but also picked up the foul, which will be his 4th. And we'll have a timeout on the court with Barron and Loney with 4 fouls. When do you put them back in the lineup?
Well, you wondered if the Jacks would try and shorten the game a little bit when they found some foul trouble, run a little clock. They haven't overtly done that, but they've still managed to keep their lead and run several minutes off the clock. So we'll keep an eye on the bench to see when the starters come back with the few fouls they have left to give.
Steffen and Wagner are still up front. Jacks have Cadwell and Casey with Frias, who comes to the free throw line. Winkleman, Smith, Nelson, Woodside, and Hahn for North Dakota State. So Frias 1 for 2 at the line, gets 2 tosses here. Jose ready. His first free throw on the way is perfect. Jacks up by 3, 56-53. 7:53 to go in the ball game. Another free throw by Frias on the way. This one, good again. So Jose, 3 of 4 at the stripe. Jacks up 57-53. Woodside will bring it the other way for North Dakota State. Woodside across the timeline. Gives it off left side to Hahn. Hahn to the corner to Nelson. Played by Cadwell. Back out on top to Hahn. Jacks trying to play man-to-man. Off to the corner, Winkleman. Picked up by Steffen. Back out on top. Here's Woodside with Casey on him. Tries to drive around him. Casey shuts him off. Out to Nelson. Cross court kicked by the Jackrabbits. Ooh, Frias went for a steal and kicked it. And so now they put 15 seconds back on the shot clock. They don't get the full shot clock, but 15 goes up as North Dakota State will trigger from out of bounds. In it comes to Woodside. Woodside trying to get away from Casey. Steffen picked him up on a switch. Now here's Woodside driving in the lane, sends it back to Smith. Smith down the lane with a runner, it's up and in, and Andre Smith having a good second half, gets the Bison back within 2. 57-55, 7:08 and ticking. Here comes Casey front court, trying to get around Hahn, gives left side to Steffen. Baseline drive by Steffen, but no shot. He pulls it back out, gives way to Cadwell. Cadwell pressured by Nelson, and Nelson is dogged on defense. Now trying to go one-on-one is Cadwell. Got the screen from Turner. Can't get the shot though. Looking for help. Finds Casey head of the key for a three-point launch, and it's good!
Big shot.
Mackenzie Casey buried the 3. And the Jacks up by 5, 60-55. We're down to 6:35 to go. Woodside front court. Woodside down the lane. He's going to the whole shot block, but they're going to call a foul. Well, Wagner got in and got the block, but I think Mackenzie Casey was chasing him down, and Casey gets the foul. So coming to the free throw line will be Woodside, who has 8 points tonight. He had 23 in the first meeting and averages nearly 18 a game. First of 2 free throws up and good by Woodside, who's 2 for 3 tonight at the line. 60-56 is the score. And here comes Loney and Barron. Next free throw by Woodside, missed, and the rebound out of bounds off of North Dakota State. Well, here comes Barron and Loney with 6:29 as Coach Scott Nagy figured it's time to pull the trigger.
Yes, he did. Now 6:39, they get their best team on the court, and they managed to keep the lead through the foul trouble tonight so far.
Barron and Loney both playing with 4 fouls. 6:29 left in the game. How far can they go? And how can the Jacks hold on to a 4-point lead against the Bison, who beat them by 30 the first time around? Here's Cadwell right side. Cadwell trying to take it to the left of the lane. Cadwell looking for help, gives way to Frias. Jose starts in the lane, sends it back out on top. Now to Barron, head of the key. Here's Barron driving the lane. Barron going to hook it up from 5, and it won't go. Got his own rebound, tries again, no good. And the rebound is Smith of North Dakota State. Under 6 minutes to go as Woodside hustles the other way. Woodside, played by Casey, pulls up on the dribble. Out on top for Smith. He starts in the lane around Loney, who has to let him go, but he missed the layup. Then the rebound and another whistle. Who's the foul on? Oh, if it's on Barron, he's done. Let's see who gets the foul.
I think it is.
Ben Barron has fouled out. So with 5:50 to go, Barron will foul out. He had a 15-point night, 11 in the first half, and the foul trouble held him down after intermission. And so Chris Wagner will have to check back in. Tough break for the Jacks. Of course, they would like to have seen Barron and Loney go as far as they could.
Kleinjohn has been on the bench for a while here in the second half as well.
The only good news here is that Moorman is the free throw shooter. He's the worst of the Bison free throw shooters at 47%. He'll shoot a pair, the first of which is no good. It remains 60-56. You could probably foul him the rest of the game and take your chances.
He is one of the few weak links from the free throw line for the Bison.
Second free throw, he hits the second one, just to spite us. 60-57. The Jacks lead is 3. We're down to 5:45 and ticking. Casey front court. Casey gives way to Cadwell. Cadwell driving the lane. Cadwell off to Wagner for a 10-footer. It bounced around and came out. And the rebound to Nelson. Chris had a good look. It just wouldn't go down. He can shoot that shot. We've seen him in practice. Here's Nelson down the lane, but no shot. Gives it out to Woodside. The Bison within 3. Feeds Smith on the baseline. Out on top, Winkleman fires for 3 and a tie. No good. Rebound out of bounds. Last touch by Moorman of NDSU. 5:19 to go. Jacks by 3. They've got the basketball. And Mackenzie Casey, who's given them a lift off the bench tonight with 5 second-half points, will bring it across the timeline. Casey directing traffic. Comes off to the right of the lane. Back to the left side to Frias, who drives the baseline around Woodside. Reverse layup won't go. Follow Wagner won't go. Follow Wagner goes! Chris Wagner with the putback. 62-57, the Jacks by 5. Under 5 minutes to go now. Woodside front court. Woodside down the lane, goes to the hole, reverse layup, got it. Woodside with his first field goal of the second half. 62-59 game. The Jack lead cut to 3. Here comes Casey the other way. Mackenzie Casey looking for a shot. Mackenzie starts in the lane, then pulls it back out, gives to Frias head of the key. Frias looking for Cadwell, but he's covered. Good defense by Nelson. Has to give it back to Casey. Now Mackenzie Casey with 15 to shoot. Casey chased, has to pull up, give to Frias. Frias drives the lane, scoops up off the glass and in. Jose Frias, his only field goal of the game, and the Jacks back up by 5. 64-59. Baseline drive, Woodside. Jumper hit the side of the board. Comes back on top. Woodside fires for 3. No good. Battle for the rebound. Smith had it. Batted away, but he's fouled. Oh, is it going to be Wagner or Loney? I think it's Wagner. And it goes up on Wagner. And coming to the line for North Dakota State is going to be Nelson. And he's the best free throw shooter on the team at 90%. He's only had one other opportunity tonight.
Woodside sure didn't hesitate when he saw an open 23, 24-footer. Took that and it was just off.
Well, now they switch and it's Smith. Smith who shoots and misses the front end. So Andre Smith at 67%. Instead went to the line after Nelson stepped there originally. Well, that's who the Bison would want there, but they didn't get him. And now here's the second free throw by Smith. It's on the way and good. He got 1 of 2. It's a 64-60 game with 4 minutes to go in the contest. Now less than 4 as the Jacks come front court. Casey, left side, Cadwell. He's been quiet for a while. Nelson tight on him. Cadwell trying to get around Nelson. Backs to the free throw line, gives to Wagner. Back to Cadwell. Cadwell double teamed in the corner. Dribbles it back out. Starts in the lane, no shot. Gives to Frias. Frias down the lane. Tried to feed Wagner, but is tipped out of bounds by the Bison. Well, it's a battle of the Jackrabbits and the Bison here tonight and up in Fargo. And the Jackrabbit women are going to win that game up in Fargo tonight. 2 minutes to go, and they lead at 73-51. Breaking out of a close game at halftime. They have dominated. They're going to get their 17th win of the season and hand North Dakota State a second loss this year. Meanwhile, the Jackrabbit men are trying to turn things around completely after losing by 30 in Fargo earlier. 86-56. The Jacks lead it here 64-60, 3:39 to go, and every possession becoming so important.
Well, you would have thought, looking at raw numbers and raw numbers only, that a team that lost by 30 up in Fargo, any game, that it wouldn't maybe turn into much of a contest, but that has not been the case here tonight, and the fans are on their feet now.
And the Jackrabbits, of course, missing 2 starters from that game in Fargo, plus have had to use Barron and Loney sparingly here in the second half, playing with 4 fouls, and Barron has fouled out. So we're down to Loney playing with 4 and Chris Wagner playing the other front line spot. Jacks will trigger from out of bounds with 12 on the shot clock. Cadwell to play it in. Cadwell looking, can't find anybody, sends it out on top to Frias. Now with 10 to shoot, they give it to Casey. Casey starts in the lane, can't find a shot and lost the ball. Picked up by Winkleman. So a turnover gives it back to the Bison. They come front court. Nelson drives the baseline, reverse layup up and in. And Nelson's bucket makes it a 2-point game, 64-62 with 3:20 to go. Casey coming front court. Casey played by Winkleman again. Comes off to the left of the lane, gives way to Frias. Now Frias bounced to Cadwell, left-hand corner. Nelson all over him. He loops it in to Loney. They double team Loney on the baseline. And a whistle, what are they going to call? They're going to call a foul on Loney, an offensive foul. And Loney will have fouled out. Wow. Loney will foul out with 3:04 to go in the game. And so the Jackrabbits will have to finish the game without the only 2 forwards they have that started the season as basketball players. And now we'll see if it's Mike Steffen who gets the call to replace Loney, as the Jacks already have the 1 football player, Chris Wagner, in the lineup. And here comes Steffen to the scorer's table.
Didn't look like there was a whole lot that went on underneath. In fact, he was double teamed down there, but he still winds up picking up the foul.
That's a tough call with 3:04 to go, but these officials have been pretty consistent tonight in their calls. And North Dakota State will trigger in from out of bounds, down by 2. Here comes Woodside the other way with 3 minutes left to go in the game. Woodside gives right side to Nelson. Here's Nelson with the basketball, man-to-man by Cadwell. Out it comes, head of the key to Smith. Gives it off left of the lane to Mormon. He's not likely to fire from there. Gives to Nelson. Right side, Woodside. That's the guy they want. They feed Mormon. Shot blocked by Steffen, but they call a foul. Good play, though, by Steffen, because Mormon, as we said, is the guy you'll take your chances with. I'd rather see Mormon shooting 2 free throws than Woodside or Nelson lining up for a 3.
Or the uncontested layup as far as that goes.
Mormon is 2 of 4 at the stripe. His free throw, no good. He's only a 47% free throw shooter. And I'll tell you what, Woodside and Nelson shoot better from 3-point range, I think, than he does from the free throw line. Next toss, good. He got 1 of 2. So it's a 1-point game. 64-63, 2:35 to go. Casey front court, right side, drives the baseline, throws it up on the run and scores. And Mackenzie Casey with the bucket. Timeout, South Dakota State. 2:29 left in the game. Let's keep it right here this time. Jacks up 66-63. Casey's come off the bench to score 7 points. And you know, Scott Waltman, that's something that Coach Scott Nagy had to talk about last time. As much pressure and as much attention as they're playing to Matt Cadwell, if you get that open lane, go ahead and go to the bucket.
And Casey's done exactly that. It's been the little guys that have carried the Jacks through this last stretch, maintaining a 3-point lead.
Well, the Jackrabbits now need a defensive stop. Coach Scott Nagy calling the timeout to give them time to set up defensively with 2:29 left to go. And we have a final now from the women's game, 77-55. The Jackrabbit women have won up in Fargo. So the Jackrabbit women go to 17-8 on the year. Still got a shot at a 20-win season with 3 games left. Here, the Jackrabbit men trying to cling to a 3-point lead. Here comes Woodside front court. Head of the key for Nelson. Now Nelson comes left to the lane. Nelson looking for a shot, is covered, gives away to Woodside. Woodside with Casey in his face. Woodside tries to drive around him. Fall away jumper, Woodside, no good. Rebound, Cadwell. Jacks the basketball in a 3-point lead, and the clock will tick down to 2 minutes as Cadwell comes across the 10-second line. Less than 2 minutes to go. Cadwell right side for Casey. Mackenzie Casey directing traffic. Casey gonna pull it back out, give to Frias near midcourt. Jacks trying to run some clock here as we're down to 1:45 to go. Here comes Frias to the right of the lane, gives to Cadwell, 10 to shoot. Cadwell one-on-one with Nelson. Cadwell starts into the lane. Cadwell pull up, fall away jumper. That's going to be off the mark. Kept alive. Wagner turnaround, no good. Rebound comes off to North Dakota State.
He didn't have to shoot that. The shot clock had reset, but I don't think Wagner realized that when he put it up.
So it's still just a 3-point lead. Woodside could tie it with a 3. He launches one. Air ball. Rebounded Cadwell. Jacks have the ball. We're down to 1:12 and ticking. Jacks are going to call another timeout. So with 1:09 left to go in the game, we'll keep it right here again. South Dakota State 66, North Dakota State 63. And Scott, you made a good point. You got Chris Wagner into one of the football players. He got a great offensive rebound on a missed shot, but wasn't sure that it was a good enough shot to reset the shot clock. And that, you could see Scott Nagy go, no, let's set it up. But Wagner was doing the right thing if he thought that didn't catch the rim.
Right. It didn't take a big carom off the rim. It kind of came right to him, so he might not have noticed that. And you could tell he turned around and kind of rushed the shot. And you're right, Nagy was you could hear him grimace a little bit.
But you can't blame Wagner for trying to be aggressive there if he thought it didn't hit the rim, because he was trying to beat the shot clock.
No, the shot went up with probably 3 seconds left, so if it hadn't hit the rim, he'd have had to rush it. There's no doubt about that.
So it didn't hurt him, though, because surprisingly at the other end, Woodside, who's only had 1 3-pointer all night long tonight, missed the 3, throwing up an air ball.
He has missed his last 2 shots badly, and the Jacks certainly hope if he gets another chance, he has one more clunker in him.
Jacks look to play it in. They play into Frias. We're down to 1:08. Jacks have 27 on the shot clock here. Frias coming left to the lane. A bucket would be huge here. Frias started into the lane, then backed it out again. Gives to Casey with a minute to play. He's fouled in the reach-in by Winkleman. So Casey, who's helped out from the field, will now have a chance to shoot 2 free throws. Mackenzie, a 60% free throw shooter, but I'll tell you, it's been a while since he's been at the line, because Mackenzie has not played a lot lately. Did not get to the line against Middle Tennessee, nor against Texas Pan American, nor against Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne. Here's the free throw, up and no good.
You could see that NDSU, as soon as he got the ball and he was in the clear, they fouled him, so they have clearly looked at the free throw percentages of the Jackrabbit players tonight.
Now we have another timeout call, this one I believe by the Bison. They call a timeout. We'll keep it here with 56 seconds left in the game. Yeah, Mackenzie Casey had not been to the free throw line in 4 games and has not had that many shots all season long. So he'll get one more opportunity to make this a 2-possession game, and that's why the second free throw is so big. If the Jacks could get a 2-possession lead, although there's still a lot of time to be played with 56 seconds up on the clock, and the Jacks playing without both Ben Barron and Michael Loney, who have fouled out of the game.
Well, Casey has only shot 10 free throws all year, 6 of 10. So you're right, he hasn't been there a lot. And the Jacks will probably get their best free throw shooters on the court if they can set up their offense after whatever the Bison will do on the other side of the court.
Jacks will send out Cadwell, Frias, Casey, Wagner, and Steffen. Now Frias, of course, a less than 50% free throw shooter, but he's in there right now for his defense, because Casey will shoot a free throw and then the Jacks will need a big defensive stop. Casey at the line, trying to salvage 1 of 2. His free throw off the front rim. Tip won't go by Wagner, and he might have been over the back. And Chris will pick up the foul, and that stops the clock with 54 seconds. It means the Bison will walk to the other end to shoot free throws. So 2 missed free throws by Mackenzie Casey, and now the Bison will have a chance to net 2 free throws. And let's see who steps to the line for them. I think it's going to be Smith again. And Smith has been off and on. He has hit 2 of 4. Or check it. Yep, 2 of 4 on the night. So now we have our head official, Tom Maurer, coming over to the scorers table, and I think they wanted to. I think North Dakota State felt there should have been more time on the clock. 2 seconds went off on that missed free throw, and I think they feel maybe should have only been 1.
I don't think they're going to change it, though.
No. Smith at the free throw line to shoot 2.
Frias is urging the crowd on, waving his arms.
Free throw up and good by Smith. Now he can make it a 1-point game. It's 66-64. The Jacks by 2 with 54 seconds left. And Smith ready to put up another free throw for the Bison. He readies. And his free throw on the way is up and good. He got them both, so it's a 1-point game. And the Bison call another timeout. Here, 54 seconds left to go in the game. The Jacks lead 66-65, but will face full court pressure, and they have 2 of their starters out on fouls, Barron and Loney. Jacks play in from out of bounds. Here comes Casey, front court. Big possession here. Mackenzie Casey, played by Hahn man-to-man. Casey comes right of the key. Back to the left side to Frias. Frias has Woodside on him. Here's Frias with 20 to shoot. Coming off left of the lane. Frias backs it out, head of the key again. Looking for Cadwell. They're going to want him to take this shot, almost assuredly so. Down to 10 to shoot. The ball in Cadwell's hands. It's going to be him and Nelson. 1-on-1. Cadwell knocked down. No foul. Fouled again. They don't call it. And North Dakota State runs front court. The Jacks knock it away. And the Frias has a steal. Jacks come front court. And the ball knocked out of bounds by North Dakota State. Wow, the Jacks were fouled twice and there was no whistle. And now they call a foul on North Dakota State. And Frias will come to the line.
Well, Frias is going to go to the line. Caldwell was running with him down the court, calling for the ball, but Frias didn't see him. It was kind of madness out there for
Well, Cadwell stepping to the line. I think Frias was the one fouled, and it was. Cadwell tried to walk to the line. I don't blame him.
Each team's tried that now tonight.
Jose is 3 for 4 tonight, but only 48% on the season. 13 seconds left. 2 free throws for Frias, the first of which is no good. He'll get 1 more, and either way, North Dakota State will have a chance to shoot for a win. They're only down by 1. The most he can make it is a 2-point lead. Free throw by Frias is good. He gets 1 of 2. It's a 2-point lead, 67-65, 12 seconds left. Everybody on their feet. Woodside, front court. Woodside starts in the lane, sends to the corner. 3-point shot, Winkleman, in and out. Rebound, Wagner. Jacks have the ball, and the ball game is over.
Wagner with a great rebound, and the Jacks win.
And the Jackrabbits have won it. 67-65. After losing by 30 at North Dakota State, the Jackrabbits turn the tables and win it by a bucket. 67-65. North Dakota State got the last shot. A 3-point attempt from the corner by Winkleman. It bounced out, and Chris Wagner was there for the rebound. And the Jackrabbits celebrate their 8th win of the season in their final home game this year at Frost Arena, and this crowd has seen a good one, Scott.
And the team is out on the court right now, kind of saluting the crowd, waving hands at them, now huddled up, having a post-game meeting, but they're clapping to the school song and having fun.
The team out on the court saluting the crowd because they got fabulous crowd support tonight from the Jackrabbit faithful as the Jackrabbits win it 67-65. North Dakota State drops to 15-11. The Jackrabbits at 8-17 are done at home. They've got 4 road games to play.